Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another IACL video of mine. I'm your trainer Josh, and I'll be bringing you my week 3, season 3. I've been wanting to say that for a while because, the same numbers, season 3 and week 3. It's always fun, and it's against Hunterzinfected. You guys may know him. He is in the NPL minors right now, and he's a pretty good battler. He made it to the quarterfinals last year in season 2. Because he never missed a hurricane, and not to mention he had pretty good prep most of the time. Pretty good team. Has a very scary team right now, and yeah, we'll go over his team really quick. We'll go over mine as well. And spoilers, I will be making some free agent transactions, and once I do make them, I'll probably make my draft analysis video from there since I haven't done one to begin with. And yeah, that's basically it. Anyways, let's go over his team. As you can see, his team is Fable. By the way, he's number 6 if you couldn't tell. So, just want to let you guys know. He has Clefable, Gothitelle, Arcanine, Rotom-Mow, Terrakion, Noivern, Kabutops, Politoed, Wynot, and Mega Swampert. Very cool team. It's actually my favorite team in the entire league. It's like mixed rain with Terrakion, Gothitelle, Clefable, Arcanine for Arcanine isn't the best Pokemon in rain, but the thing is he doesn't need to bring rain and he'll still be fine. Like, it's a very, very balanced team overall, and it's basically why I like it so much. He has so many combinations that you can go with, and it's pretty remarkable actually. He actually hated his draft after a little bit of confirmation. He was felt a little better about his team, and as you can see, my team is the same as always. But if you want me to go over it, I'll go over it with you. I'm number 10, and my team is Rotom-Wash, Gramble, Mega Ampharos, Donphan, Crobat, Entei, Azel, Registeel, Gourgeist, and Porygon 2. And, oh, that's the replay. I just spoiled what he brought, and I just spoiled what I brought. And, it's okay. We'll go over the team really quick, and, first Pokemon we're gonna go over is the most interesting Pokemon on my team, and that is my Porygon 2. The reason why you may be questioning my thought process on why I am return with analytic and max attack. Well, that's because he has this Pokemon, and it's called Gothitelle. And Gothitelle, if it tricks me and he goes for like Calm Mind, he can do really naughty things to my team, and I have to sack like a lot of Pokemon versus it, and that would be really bad. And this set is the anti-Gothitelle set. If he decides to trick me, I hit him up with a max attack, analytic boosted return. This was originally double edge, but apparently double edge is incompatible with analytic, because I guess it was like a Gen 4 thing. I'm gonna guess maybe even before that. I didn't really check. I was doing a mock battle and it said you're not allowed to have double edge. And I was like, okay, return it is. And as you can see, I am also Recover, Thunder Wave, and Ice Beam. Ice Beam is for Pokemon like Noivern, and just I can hit Pokemon on his team reasonably hard. I think he has other Pokemon that get hit by it. Yeah, Rotom-Mow gets it pretty hard by it, and it hits Kabutops neutrally. And since Kabutops isn't the most defensive Pokemon on the special side, it'll hit it for decent damage. And Thunder Wave is, for Pokemon like Terrakion, and that's my calc that you'll see later on. And it could be good for Pokemon like Arcanine, so I can outspeed, it's even good for like Gothitelle, but I kind of want to outspeed that so return could do max damage. And, it's the essential. Basically, this Pokemon is here to potentially weaken the Gothitelle if it comes down to it, because Gothitelle is a pretty easy switch into this thing, especially if he's like Rest, Calm Mind, Trick, and a Psychic move. And, since I don't have a Dark type in my team, so that would actually work pretty well. And I have 200 defense with 56 HP, because with this amount of defense and HP, I take close combats from a Scarf Terrakion reasonably well. If it's banded, I just die. I don't have a chance to live. It does way over 100%. And that's pretty much Porygon 2 this week, making its 3rd straight debut. And as you can see, my White Girl and my Wingsicle also make their 3rd straight debut, and for good reason. And as you can see, number 22, I'll go over that nickname later on, is making his season debut. And Fireman Ed is making his debut. First time he's hit the field since week 1. And Sandy Lemon making the 2nd straight debut. Pretty cool stuff. And anyways, let's just move on to Wingsicle. Wingsicle, my bandit Crobat, because this thing really hits his team reasonably hard. Okay, I thought somebody was at my door, but nobody is at my door. And anyways, yeah, this Pokemon hit this team pretty hard. The only real answer that you could have to this is Pokemon like Kabutops, but Banded U-turn will still do a decent amount. Or if I predict that, I can drop a Toxic really quick. Toxic is mainly for Arcanine as well, because defensive Intimidate Arcanine is a pretty easy switch into this. And if he has like Will-O-Wisp, it becomes a really big problem. And I can also just U-turn on it, but he could have Rocky Helmet, and that would not be good. But if he has Rocky Helmet, then his only way of recovery is Morning Sun. I can pressure him to go for Morning Sun after a Brave Bird reasonably well, especially if there's rocks up in the field and he's taking prior damage. And Cross Poison is just in case Clefable was at a high enough amount of HP, or if I can tell you it's like max defense, max HP, Cross Poison will do a lot more than Brave Bird, not to mention it's a high crit ratio move. And if I ever crit Clefable, even if he's max defense, max HP, I OHKO him. Unless he's like Kiwio Berry. But that would be like the only exception. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And yeah, Banded Bat. Last week we brought Nasty Plot Bat, and that did not work too well because his Umbreon died before this thing could ever hit the field. So sadly we weren't able to try and accomplish it. But this is just a Pokemon that hits the field and it kills something, pretty much. And last week it couldn't really do that. It did weaken the guard shop to put in range of Hidden Power Ice, which was absolutely amazing. And so far Crobat has really put in the work for the past couple weeks. And yeah, that's pretty much Crobat. Max HP, max attack for max damage. Have enough speed to outspeed a Noivern because his fastest Pokemon is base 123. And then Brave Bird, Cross Poison for stab, but Brave Bird is just a better move by far because it hits most of his team neutrally at least. And yeah, not much more to cover on this thing. Anyways, this is the most interesting and creative set. My normal gem Explosion max attack Azelf, and Azelf Azelf. I kind of changed the way I pronounce it sometimes. It just depends. And as you can see, I only have 2 physical moves, one being U-turn, one being Explosion. You may question why I have Explosion, and that's because if he brings in like why not, if he for some reason brings it. Max attack Explosion does like a million. It actually OHKOs after rocks, I believe. And Energy Ball is for his 2 Pokemon that are 4 times weak to it, being Mega Swampert and Kabutops. Mega Swampert actually lives even if he isn't HP invested. And after a Psychic, though, it just dies. And Kabutops just dies to Energy Ball. It does like 160% to 190 to a max HP Crobat, to a max HP Kabutops. Actually, no, max HP Kabutops will do like 140%, but that's not the point. U-turn is for Pokemon like Gothitelle. I can hit reasonably hard with max attack. And originally this was like banded, but I was kind of worried about him, like because I had originally had Zen Headbutt in the set. If I were to click a Zen Headbutt and then he were to come in with Gothitelle, I could not do anything to it, and that would be really bad. So I was like, normal gem is probably better with U-turn because this will still do a good amount of damage because base 125 attack is nothing to sneeze at. And then just put the rest in the special attack instead of HP because I want my Energy Balls and Psychic to do a little more damage. And decided to run minus special defense because I might want my defense. I don't want my defense lowered if I have to take a close combat from Terrakion. And but he would have to be Scarf Type to outspeed me, so that's cool. And that's pretty much Azelf. And Registeel and Mega Ampharos kind of work hand in hand, so I'm going to go over those 2 last. Let's go over Fireman Ed really quick. Bring a max attack set because I want to try to hit Clefable as hard as I can. With Gunk Shot, it doesn't OHKO it, but it will do a lot. Easily 2 kills, even in max defense Clefable. Earthquake is for Pokemon like Terrakion. Terrakion cannot OHKO me, mainly because it's sturdy, but even then, the banded close combat does nowhere near enough to OHKO me. If I'm like over 80%, he can never kill me in close combat, and Earthquake will just smack it, and you'll probably, I don't know if it actually OHKOs it, but it does a lot of damage, so that's great. And knockoff is for Pokemon like Noivern. If I predicted to come in, I really wanted Ice Shard, but I didn't want to get. I wanted knockoff for Gothitelle so I can knock off its item if it came down to it. But in all reality, Earthquake was probably cool enough. But like I said, Earthquake I felt like was just. I didn't feel like Earthquake could get the job done versus versus Gothitelle. In all reality, I probably could have brought Ice Shard, but knockoff is cool for knocking off leftovers on Clefable, knocking off leftovers on Arcanine if you were to switch it in on me. And basically knocking off items is pretty good. I can knock off like if he decides to switch into why not like hard into it, I knock it off and he doesn't die. He doesn't live anything after that. And you know, like just in case Rotom decides to come in. And also, this Pokemon is pretty cool because if he does bring Rotom, he can't click an electric move. Bah, I'm stuttering and I don't want to do that. Okay. If he brings Rotom, he can't just spam Volt Switch on me because I have a ground type, and I pressure him to go for Leaf Storm. If he overpredicts on my Crobat and clicks like Leaf Storm, I can kill it with Brave Bird, and that's amazing. And nothing more. And it's basically there for an offensive rapid spinner. It spins on Clefable rather easily, and I force it out most of the time, so that's great. Anyways, let's go over number 22, his debut. It's not really a rhyme, but it sounds like it's a hashtag bars. Speaking of bars, this Pokemon Cypher came out, and it was absolutely beautiful. Recommend it if you haven't watched it, but if you haven't watched it, you're not human. And anyways, number 22, it's a reference to Titanium, because its Pokedex entry reads, its metal literally cannot be scratched, it doesn't leave a dent. Kind of like Titanium, in my opinion. And so I was like, number 22 is the number of Titanium on the periodic table. So I was like, there you go, number 22. Gotta find a creative. Dual status, because I can at least click Toxic on like Why Not or Gothitelle and force it to go for rest. But with Shed Show, I can easily swap. And the only problem with this is I could get tricked by Rotom or Gothitelle, and that's when Sandy Lemon comes into play. If I predict the trick, I go into my Sandy Lemon, and if he tricks, he's actually locked in a trick, and it gives me a free Volt Switch. And the only reason why I would never go for Volt Switch is if he has a Mega Swampert. In that case, I click a Dragon move. But in all reality, his safest switch would probably be Clefable, so I'd always click Volt Switch. If he goes in Mega Swampert, so be it. Because Mega Swampert actually kind of destroys these Pokemon I have on the field. I do have a Gorgeist though, so he might not bring it, which is always good. And that's pretty much Registeel. It's actually really invested to attack, and that's because it 2 KOs a standard Clefable. But if he's max defense, it doesn't do a lot still. And what else am I gonna say? Well, what else can I say about this? Thunder Wave Iron Head is because I want the Paraflinch to happen on Clefable if he decides to do it. And even on Gothitelle, if I get lucky enough, I can whittle it down to the point where he doesn't beat me. But if he gets a rest off, and if he does that and I'm trapped, then that's kind of bad. But with Sandy Lemon, as you'll see here, the Mega Ampharos, I can easily avoid getting tricked by Rotom, not to mention the Sting Walls Rotom after Mega Evolution, and I can also easily swap into Gothitelle. If he goes for Combine, I can just Volt Switch and go into my Wingsicle, go for U-turn, and then I would go to my Azelf, go for another U-turn, and then he would be dead. That's really great, honestly. And Rest Sleep Talk Max Defense is because this is my best check to Bandit Terrakion. If he's Scarf, I don't get 2 KO. If he is Scarf, I don't get 2 KO by close combat. If he's Bandit, I do. If he's Bandit with Stone Edge, he has a good chance to not 2 KO me. But if you get to crit on any of them, or even a high roll on one of them, he needs a mid roll and a high roll to kill me from full with Stone Edge, and close combat just 2 KOs me. And Volt Switch is cool because after a Volt Switch, he's in range of a Banded Brave Bird, and he's also in range of a Psychic, I believe, from Azelf. And Dragon Pulse is just in case I just want to get neutral damage. I almost put T-Wave on here, but I didn't just want an electric move. I wanted something to hit like Mega Swampert. And that was basically it. And as you can see, its defensive stats don't look too good, but once you make it Mega, so let me just put Ampharos dash Mega really quick. Its defensive stats go way overboard. At 339 with 384 HP, that is absolutely beautiful to see. And with 4 defense and max HP, like I said, a pretty good check to run a Mo. And what else is on his team? It walls a pretty good amount of stuff. It doesn't take a Spec Draco Meteor from Noivern, I'm pretty sure, but I'm sure it takes a neutral one, so that's great. And it's a really great switch into Arcanine as well with Rest Sleep Talk, honestly. And then Politoed cannot do a lot to me either. So yeah, this Pokemon is just really great in general versus his team. I almost brought Entei, I almost brought Gourgeist. The reason I didn't bring Gourgeist is because he has an Arcanine, and a free switch into Arcanine wouldn't be cool in my opinion. Man, that was bad. Gourgeist doesn't do a lot to Clefable. He gives Clefable a free Thunder Wave or a Calm Mind. Even though I do have a Dawn Fan, I would have to rely on hitting a Gunk Shot. because after a gong try EQ kills, and I don't like that. And it also like it was really a 50-50. I felt like this team would be better, and Gorguys could have easily fit on here, I'm pretty sure, but I just felt like this was the best. If I brought Gorguys, I'm sure I would have been okay as well, but we'll just slide into the match, and I'll put a thing in the description saying when my team builder ends. If you just want to go straight into the match, I don't blame you. And as you can see, if you paused and saw his team when I accidentally clicked on the tab, good for you. You know what his team was. But if you didn't, like a good person, let me go over his team really quick. Terrakion, I'm expecting a band or a choice scarf. And on the side, I was kind of scared of an air balloon Terrakion because it sets up on Dawn Fan rather easily. And we'll see if he actually did bring that. Clefable, I'm expecting just annoying. Arcanine, defensive. Gothitelle, stupid shenanigans. Noivern, I didn't expect Switcheroo. I was expecting Trick on Rotomo and Trick on Goth, but I did not expect Switcheroo Noivern. You'll see how that plays out. And why not? I was like, he brought the why not. That is actually pretty scary because I don't have Toxic on my Arcanine. I mean, on my Mega Ampharos, like I almost did. Like T-Wave and Toxic were in my hand. I was like, should I bring that over D-Pulse? I don't know. And I could Toxic with Registeel if he does decide to trap me with that, which is really great. And if he doesn't have Rest, I wall it. Actually, I don't even know if Wynot gets Rest. It probably doesn't, actually. And let me just put this on slow, not really slow. Really slow is too slow for my taste. Anyways, looking at his team, I was doing a mock match with Brian. Shout out to Brian, the greatest of all time. And I was thinking, I'm going to lead with Registeel. If he leads Feeder 1 Gothitelle, I go into my Mega Ampharos, but expecting a Trick. And we'd be good to go. But as you see, he will lead with the Noivern. As you see, number 22 goes onto the field as he leads with Noivern. First, my Shed Shell. He loves this thing for Frisk and Frisk only because, Frisk is a really great ability, especially in League when people run stupid items and, when they actually work. He can scout for berries, scout for Shed Shells like he just did. And if I would have known this thing could have had Switcheroo, I would have 100% switched into my Mega Ampharos, especially knowing he was not going to click Draco. But like I said in the match, I just didn't think about Switcheroo, Noivern, and neither did Brian, honestly. Because when he brought Noivern, he brought a Taunt, Roost, dual stab set. So I wasn't sure what he was going to do. I was just going to click Rocks. I thought he would click Flamethrower if he was Specs, which he was, or U-Turn. He just goes straight for Switcheroo, and that is actually terrible. Because now, if Gothitelle ever decides to come in down here, that's terrible. And at this point, I can't really go into my Mega Ampharos, even though he's 100% going for U-Turn. I didn't want to risk him going for like Hurricane, knowing I can't really touch him. Going for like Hurricane. Well, Hurricane wouldn't do a lot, but if you went for like Draco, predicting any switch whatsoever, and I went to my Mega. Well, I'm not Mega Ampharos yet, but it would still do a lot. So at this point, I'm just going to go into my Porygon too. If he goes for any special attack, it's not going to do much, and neither is U-Turn. U-Turn does 6%. That's pretty bad. But Noivern's attack set's pretty mild. I'm sure he's timid, so I'm sure that explains. Guys, he's going to go into Trapping Josh. This is exactly what I envisioned in my head. I was like, okay, he's going to think this is a perfect setup fodder. He's not going to be able to touch me. He won't be able to do anything. I'm going to just go for Trick, go for Calm Mind, and win the game. Well, he doesn't know that. He goes for Trick, and he does trick me, which is unfortunate because I don't take a close combat from Terrakion anymore. You go for Return, that does a million, so he's not max defense whatsoever. He's definitely speed invested in some way. I don't know how much speed or how much special attack, but he's not very defensive invested or HP invested. And that is fantastic. I would predict the switch, but I can't switch. So he's just going to switch into Stay Gold Pony Boy, which is fine. I thought he was going to go into Terrakion and immediately force pressure on my Porygon too, considering my fighting resist is weak to Stone Edge. And I'm able to hit this thing up with a Return, put it up to 50%, and I'm forcing him to go for a Morning Sun here. And this is a free switch into my Mega Ampharos. I get the free Mega off pretty much, unless he goes for like, I don't know. If he were to go for Flare Blitz, that would do a pretty decent amount of damage, but even with max defense, as a normal Ampharos, I take that reasonably well. But he decides to just go for Morning Sun, which was a pretty decent play. He needed his HP. He's going to go into Trapping Josh, and he decides to sack the Gothitelle, that's great, because now Registeel cannot be trapped by this thing, and if he traps me with Why Not, I can just go for Toxic. Especially since Why Not, I'm like pretty sure it doesn't get Rest. If it gets Rest, then so be it. I guess I'm stupid. And Toj in the chat, why is Hunty shit? I don't know, that's a good question. And I'm going to go to my Wingsicle because this thing it forces a lot of pressure on his team, but here's the problem. He has this Pokemon right here, and that's not good. Brave Bird's not going to do anything, and he can go for Will-O-Wisp and just make this thing essentially useless. And that's not what I want. So I don't want to go for U-turn and take Rocky Helmet damage because my HP could be good for taking a hit from, like, I don't know, something. If he goes for, like, Return on Terrakion, I can potentially take it because, you know, that at least hits Crobat neutrally, and he doesn't have to hit Stone Edge, and if he's banded, that is. And I just can't stay in here. And as obvious as it switches, I have to make it. If he doubles into Noivern, so be it. I take a Draco, and he goes for Toxic, which pretty good play because, you know, there was a Crobat on the field, but that was a pretty obvious switch. And at this point, I'm just going to go for Volt Switch. He didn't bring his ground immunity, so like I mentioned in the team builder, he cannot really do much to stop this. And he's going to go into his Cliffhanger, and this is going to do 25%, proving he's very, very special defensive invested and not very defensive invested. So that's good for later on. Now I know that Brave Bird to a Clefable will do a million, and I don't have to really lock myself in the Cross Poison, because looking at his team, Cross Poison doesn't do a lot for me. And at this point, I'm going to force him out with Gunk Shot, especially since I know he's not very defensive invested. It might actually just Oko. So I'm just going to go for Knockoff here as he goes for Protect. And I didn't want to over-predict. I thought he might go into like Noivern here or something. And I could have easily clipped Earthquake, but like I said, if he went into Noivern, that would have been pretty bad. I want to at least hit it. Because, you know, hitting it will put it in range of Brave Bird. But actually, no, it's in range of Brave Bird as soon as it hits Rock. As soon as rocks hit the field. So, not reality. Earthquake would have been a pretty dandy play here, but I go for Knockoff. Earthquake would have 100% killed this thing because, as you'll see later on, he's actually pretty specially defensive invested. So that's unfortunate. I could have killed this thing, but it's okay. And my Sturdy is broken, meaning that could potentially come into play for like Noivern, but it doesn't really matter. I'm going to go into my Mega Ampharos. As obvious as the switch was, the worst thing he could have done there was going to Noivern, because I'm pretty sure I would actually just die to Draco. If not, it would be pretty dang close. And I'm just going to go for the Volt Switch. And this is where I find out he's actually not max defense, max HP. Which he, I mean, as a person who's used Arcanine themselves, it's best to run mixed defensive because Intimidate just makes you bulky as it is. And he says, don't 6-0 me. And I'm just going to go for Psychic here. And, you know, because it hits his team reasonably hard. As he's going to go into his mascot. And I do have Explosion. Yeah, I could have saved it for Clefable. Now that I know he's not max defense, Explosion actually just destroys it. And even if he was max defense, max HP, an Explosion would do like 78 to 91%. And meaning after any hit, after any hit, he would just die. But the only problem is that he does have Protect, so I'd have to click Psychic on his non-Protect. But I'm just gonna go for Explosion here. I don't have to worry about playing those games later on. That thing just dies because it was at 76%. There was no way it was taking the max attack normal gem boosted Explosion. You just don't take that. That's 325 attack. Think about that. And Hunter's just happy he didn't get 6-0. And now this is when the match gets a little tough. This thing could easily be Scarf, and I'm gonna expect Stun Edge. So I'm gonna go into my Registeel and try to get a T-Wave off on something. Anything getting T-Waved on his team right now would be absolutely fantastic, as he goes for Close Combat, and he actually crits me. That's really bad, because I don't know if he was banded. If he was Scarf, I lived, and with a crit, I don't live. So, I don't know if he is Scarf or banded, but either way, he is in range of Brave Bird at -1 defense. So, he's pretty much forced to go into his Arcanine right here, I believe. Does he go? Yeah, he goes into Arcanine. And I am going to take a little bit of recoil from the Rocky Helmet plus Brave Bird, but it isn't too much recoil, as you'll see. I'm going to take 16% plus 4%. Oh wait, no, I knocked off the Rocky Helmet. I'm fucking stupid. I'm sorry. I only take 4%, and that's great. But at -1, my Brave Bird's not going to be doing too much, and here comes this monster. And I even noticed Pokemon actually just beats his entire team now. Brave Bird to this thing does not Oko. And I'm going to expect him to be very HP invested, because if you look at my team, it's very, very weird when it comes to speed. My highest speed consists of Entei, Azelf, and Crobat. I would expect him to run enough speed to just outspeed a Adamant Entei, which is not a lot of speed. And then he could just dump the rest in the max HP, and dump the rest in the HP, and then he would be very, very bulky.
And that's what I was kind of worried about throughout the entire match. I just clicked my team builder. I was very, very worried about that. So the goal at this point was to try to put this thing in range of a Brave Bird. I'm going to send out my Type 2 as he actually goes for Stone Edge and disproves he is banded. Wait up. And we are back. My mom had a question on Pokemon Go, and as I was about to say, anyways, as I was going to say, this is banded Stone Edge 100%. If he was Scarf, it would have done like 50%, 40%, 40 to 50. This does 73, and that wasn't even a crit, proving he is banded. And as cool as that is, since my Crobat outspeeds, it's also very bad because I don't have any switch-ins for banded close for banded Terrakion. My Ampharos is very weakened and toxic, as you can see, 73%, meaning I don't take 2 Stone Edges or close combat. But now that I know he is banded, I'm going to go into my Donphan, and I'm going to try to knock this thing off. It may seem kind of weird, but I feel like that was my best play. Actually, do I even do that? Well, I'm pretty sure I go for knockoff here, because I didn't want this thing to get a free, I didn't want this thing to have a band anymore, and I could at least force it out afterwards. As he's going to go into his Noivern, as I'm going to get a free clean knockoff on this thing. I believe. Yeah, I do, and that does a lot of damage because of max attack. I'm going to be able to knock off his Shed Show, and at this point, I am going to go into my Porygon 2 because I'm going to sack it. But he's going to make a pretty interesting play. I go right back into Terrakion. I'm actually not 100% sure what he was trying to predict there. Maybe another knockoff so he can get his +1 boost. But I'm actually not sure. And after a knockoff, he would be in range of Brave Bird. At this rate, even if he's not HP invested, it's a roll. It does like well, I'll show you after this. I'll show you when the time is right. As yeah, I'm gonna sack this thing with Stone Edge. I know he's banded. I'm just gonna go right back into my Donphan. I'm just kidding. I go to my Sandy Lemon because I know I take a Stone Edge. Like I mentioned before, unless he crits me, I live, and I get a free Volt Switch off here. As he's gonna go to Cliffhanger, meaning after this Volt Switch, he is 100% in range of a. He's 100% in range of a banded Brave Bird. As I'm just gonna go into my Brave Bird. I'm gonna go into my Crobat, and I'm gonna be able to kill something right here with Brave Bird. He is gonna go for the Protect right here, but like I said, he's not very defensive invested. And if he was, I don't think Brave Bird killed from 74%. But since we all know he is very specially defensive, I actually don't know how much special defense he had, but it was quite a bit. It was like calm 200 from what I can tell. And I'm just going to go for the Brave Bird, and Bandit kills it. Louis said Toad says unless this has Taunt or Poison move, Clef wins. Then I accidentally called him Lou. I didn't mean to call him Lou. Lou, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. I looked really quick and I thought it was Lou. Anyways, I'm gonna make my switch and I'm gonna pause. Let me go to my calc really quick. This is about the right time. Banded Brave Bird to a Terrakion does 77 to 91% if he is 0 HP invested. Now that I mentioned how much speed he needs to outspeed a Entei, let me show you how much he could. How much speed the only amount of speed he needs to outspeed pretty much my fastest Pokemon is 84. I go to my team builder and show an example of a Terrakion spread that he could have potentially brought if he was, jolly max attack banded, which according to my calc he actually was. He wasn't banded. I mean, he was an adamant fan, so this set would 100% make sense. Okay, 252 and 84 with a Jolly Nature. And 172 HP he can have on his Terrakion. If I go to my calc right now and put 172 HP, Brave Bird does 68 to 80%. And if you go back to the replay, he's at 76. Meaning I would need a pretty high roll to actually kill him if he is this spread. Which, looking at my team, this 100% makes sense. And I just have to play as if he's very HP invested, which I did. Otherwise, if I went for Brave Bird and I did not kill, it was actually a game over. And I'm just gonna suck my Mega Ampharos to the Stone Edge. I really have no other choice. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't have another choice. And at this point, I'm going to go into my Donphan. It's my only play, and I'm gonna try to get a knockoff off. I'm gonna try to get a knockoff on this thing because if he goes in the Noivern on my predicted EQ, then that's bad. If I miss a Gunk Shot, that would be bad. And I'm obviously not gonna go for Spin. And this knockoff puts him at 57%, meaning if he is the spread that I mentioned, he's dead, 100% dead. Like, so as soon as I got that knockoff off, it was actually 100% over, because Noivern isn't choice scarf or anything like that, because I knocked off its item, and he had tricked away his spec, so he wasn't scarfed to begin with. And at this point, it's actually game. He cannot win. It's game. I'm gonna win 1-0 with my Bandit Crobat, which is fantastic because, you know, Bandit Crobat, as I mentioned, and the team builder had a pretty good chance of just cleaning up his team or just beating it in general. And what basically won me the game was that he didn't bring Stealth Rocks. If he had brought Stealth Rock, this sweep probably wouldn't have been able to happen. And, you know, that's absolutely great. And I'm just gonna go for the Brave Bird, and it's GG. Good game. His team is gonna fall to 2-1. I go to 3-0, meaning I am the sole leader of the entire division, and that is fantastic because this was a win I really wanted more than anything else in the world, and I couldn't be happier. So, anyways, we are going to go to the stat sheet, and we're gonna go over who got the kills. So, and we're gonna just go right on out of here, and we're going to see the stats. So we'll be right back. And we are back, and we're just going to make a quick little overview of the game. And let's go over Mega Airfields first. Making its second appearance and getting his first kill of the season versus Arcanine. No, against Gothitail, picking it off with Volt Switch, which was really fantastic. But sadly, falling to the field against a Bandit Terrakion Stone Edge. Puts it back to -1 differential. Donphan, even though it had the potential to get off a lot of hits, it wasn't able to get any kills. It did die to Terrakion's something, and it died to close combat, and as a result, it drops to -2. But don't worry, Donphan, you did what you had to do. You put the Terrakion in range of a Banded Brave Bird and pretty much won us the game, so don't worry, my friend. And I'm going to skip over the MVP real quick and go to my Azelf, picking up the normal gem boosted explosion against the Why Not, which was pretty big because I didn't really have anything else to kill it and actually avoid a mirror coat or a counter. And that is really good, but sadly had to die in the hands of the explosion itself, so it did sacrifice itself and put it down to -1. But that is okay. And Porygon 2 for the first time this season wasn't able to pick up a kill, and he's going to drop down to live editing right here. He's going to drop down to -1 for the first time this season, but that is okay. And Registeel did what I figured it would, not do anything, just set up rocks and eventually die. And that is exactly what happened. Sadly to a crit close combat, but it didn't matter because he was banded and such. And let's go over the MVP, Crobat, getting 4 kills, not dying whatsoever. And as a result, goes up to 7 kills, 1 death, differential of 6. Definitely one of the highest in the entire league. I wouldn't be surprised if this is #1 in the entire league in kills. So shout out to my Bandit Crobat, doing absolutely fantastic. Did exactly what I had to do to win the game. So good game to Hunter. Very exciting, very close, because Bandit Terrakion, when he hit every Stone Edge, is a broken Pokemon. Let's face it. And next week, who do we go up against? Let's find out. I don't know who I go against, and my voice is starting to hurt, and that's not good. Excuse me. And as you can see, I go up against Tristan. Pretty cool dude, and he actually has a pseudo Sand team. As you see, he is number. I'm gonna pretend I know where I'm looking, and eventually find his team. Number 13. As you can see, he has T-Tar, Megalodius, the most broken Mega in the game. Conkeldurr, Amoonguss, Aromatisse, Jellicent, Stoutland, Avalugg, Heliolisk, and his franchise Excadrill. Very interesting team. Very interesting course of action I'm going to have to perform, as we are also going to, like I said, make some free agent transactions, and that'll be it. We'll be good to go afterwards. So I think it's about time to end the video. It's been almost 35 minutes, and you know, a pretty rapid upload, and that's because I was able to find a time to actually upload, because, you know, I've been pretty busy with school, but grades are back on track. My lowest grade right now is an 84, my AP English class, which is always, you know, could be better, could be a lot worse, so, you know, that's great. Everything else is an A, so props to myself. So yeah, I'm gonna be up on out of here, and watch the cipher if you haven't, and leave a like, subscribe, and comment. And if there's any mistakes,
that I made or something I should have done, leave a comment saying what it was. So yeah, au revoir and peace.